It's going to be a long day of broadcasting. Especially if we get a wild hair tonight and go on again. That's what we ought to do. We ought to do just like a weekend marathon. All right, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to play a little more of an extended intro than normal so we can allow people time to come in since it's the first show. All right, we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Resurrection is not limited to icons, but unlimited to the life of our souls. We have all walked the dark nights when we thought we were in the right, and we have all walked in the light when we thought there was none. Oneness is underestimated because it covers far more than peace, love, happiness, and the trappings of dogmas. Oneness is to understand that all of the dark nights hold the same face and that everyone's pain is equivalent when weighed against their singular life experience. Oneness is releasing every possession which really had been possessing us all along. The old family gripe, so easy to blame on another, the religions and icons forged on ancestors at the price of land and freedoms forsaken. Government conspiracies and royalty belied of the dark demagoguery of foolish human pride. The chains and the stains, the shames and the blames, that even if we're true, serve no purpose but to hide us from ourselves and each other. Divinity is always becoming, always on time, leading to the first and last, the end that begins. I am soul. How's it going, everybody? First show of the day. Could be a long day. We stayed up until, I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Broadcasting this morning, it was like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, Europe time. It was early evening in Australia. But we had a good time. We tested the broadcast software, and then we did an open mic. We called it an after midnight open mic. But the first show today, we got Benoit on with us. He's been on with us before. Let me check the comments in chat. Janice says, that was amazing last night. I listened this morning and it enlivened me. Been so tired the last 3 days. Ain't that the truth? Let's see what the brother has to say about the last few days and see what's happening to Benoit in his end of the world. Video. Start video. I think his signal's a little slow, so it'll take him a second. He'll be here. Yeah, we had a good time last night. We're going to be doing more and more broadcasting. Hey, Benoit, you got to unmute.
Weird things happening here.
Everything's weird.
Oh.
Everything's weird.
Past couple days or past couple whatever.
Yeah, we need to talk about this. I just saw your haircut. I think I'm fixing to cut mine off. Right
Yeah,
now.
well, sure. I had it here like a couple months, a month and a half now. Just half an inch now. I'm getting there.
It looks good.
I had it all.
Everybody, it's good to see you again. Everybody knows what an incredible and exceptional healer that you are. That's common knowledge. But what about the human side? I mean, like this last, 3 weeks in July, or I would say even more specifically, the last 7 days. Maybe the last couple of days we've had a reprieve. But man, the prior few days before that, did you feel anything at the human level?
Well, starting last 2 weeks, I guess, I wasn't spared from being human. Right, I would say the utmost test, being attacked, and then false allegations and all kinds of things. I won't go into it, but
what do you mean? False allegations.
Well, let's leave it at that.
Oh, no. I just mean like you're talking about personally. So yeah. And there was a lot of that energy. I saw a lot of that.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
But I mean, I saw a lot of that energy of people. I don't know if we'll use the word attack, but I would say people having to be right, self-righteous, projecting, blaming, comparing, and it just seemed like to have like a spike for a few days. So that's probably the same energy you were experiencing.
Yeah. For me personally, that was a test. So it was a way to show me it had happened before, but I guess my level of being triggered was different. It wasn't right on the spot, but then it was mental, but the emotional triggering was almost not there. So it was a great way to show me where I was standing at,
And I think a lot of people have hit that point. I know I went through some things and I stayed like the eye of the hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't move off center. And if I did, it wouldn't be for very long, but I was mostly observing it. And of course, the reason I think I stayed in the center most or all the time was because I didn't expose myself to anybody. You know what I mean?
You took a step back.
I just did not. I mean, I barely talked to Morgan. And I slept in a different bed. I mean, I just when that stuff was going on, I thought I've got to spend all my time making sure I stay in this space,
Going back to our own safe self.
Yeah.
I would say. And this today about this heart anchoring thing is going back to our own self, safe self.
Yeah.
And then away from mental, emotional, and all that's going on.
Let me ask you something about that. You just mentioned heart, and I have a feeling you're going to do something with the heart thing today. I just get the feeling. Mm-hmm. So a few days ago, so today's what, Friday? So it would have been
Thursday, yeah.
Today's Thursday? Is today Thursday? Tell me today's not. Am I that?
Oh, no, I'm Friday.
Friday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's okay. I've been the one that's been getting it. So a few days ago on Sunday, I got a message from a homeboy in Houston, really close. And he told me about a friend of ours that had transitioned, And so I ended up driving up the road for about half an hour, and I connected with him, and he came in immediately. And I had this whole experience, and I talked about it, I think, the next day on one of the shows. But one of the things that happened, or the big thing that happened, that he showed me, and then that I actually experienced, he merged with me, my friend that transitioned. And he said, you guys are like right on the cusp. He said, let me show you. And he had this big smile on his face. And it went into my solar, right? But the only way I can explain it was the heart expanded in a way I'd never felt before, but it was with the power of the solar. And then it went up into my throat. but it was a huge expansion. Are we collectively going through a huge, never felt before heart expansion right now, even given all the other stuff?
Well, absolutely. What I was getting about anchoring the heart. Anchoring the heart is both into the universal energy, divine, and also sort of reconnecting to the body. Mm-hmm. So it's like a two-step thing, you know. And then for the connection to really feel it, has to go, both sides have to be reconnected, you know. And this anchoring, also what I got today, what I'm going to be doing a bit, is not just for us. It'll be also for the galactics. The whole universe is going to be doing a sort of a reconnection, anchoring of the heart thing here today. Because the galactics, they need that too. That's what I'm getting here. And what you got was energy through the plexus. And then I felt it as you said it. I sort of felt it through the plexus into the heart. And then way up and then back out and back in. That's what I'm getting, right? The loop here.
It felt really weird because I say it came into the solar. I can't even really say that with certainty. What I do know is that I felt many heart gasms before. Heart expansions, heart soulgasms, whatever you want to call them. But this one was different. This one had a power, like a force. It wasn't just a expansion of say, what we might call love or try to describe as love. It was a power, like a useful power, like a formidable power. And it just burst my heart open. And it was quite an experience. I'm still trying to get over it.
Well, what I'm getting is that it went through your whole soul into your plexus. That's what I'm getting. Because sometimes we can still feel through the heart and energies from people. Then the whole soul got ignited. That's what I'm getting. Beautifully ignited. And then it sort of washed like a whole storm, you know?
All right. So is this, as the individual goes, so goes the collective? Is this something that's out there collectively? To me, I would think it is.
Yes, it is. And not only the collective, the galactics too today, Arcturian, some Arcturian aspect, healing of some of, let me see.
Yeah. Tune
in. Connecting through the galactics and back into, so the whole universe will be doing sort of a loop here. So this is going to be pretty powerful, I guess, because souls, they're incarnates and discarnates and all. They're up there, the galactics, they still have some not baggage, sort of baggage. They have some living aspects, you know. And they too have aspects, personalities, and stuff they need to clear.
That's right.
Let's not forget that. It's not just limited to us humans here.
That's right. We had a couple of shows, and I can't recall. I think, the part of the thing that's happening is the 3D memory thing is leaving. So I can't even recall who it was, but I know in the last 4 shows, 2 of the shows we got into this discussion. It was Don Parkinson was one of them, who's very sensitive like you are, and it does some pretty special work in the ethers. But anyway, in regard to what's happening, the ascension, how we are sort of an epicenter. The earth is sort of an epicenter because of the huge variance in seeds and energetic seeds, elementals, different star families, and so on. And that as we align on a conscious level, or as we integrate or 0 point, that all of our connective lineage is affected.
Well, it's sort of a microcosm. Human here, all different galactics to elementals and all. I'm a little bit less connected to the lower ones, but all kinds of reactions, and also being human with everybody. We've just talked about what's happening in the past couple of days or weeks. What message I got also experimenting this was that not trying also either to figure out what's going on, just seeing and realizing that people are reacting as humans. That's a message I got. Not sometimes, yes, this is a reflection of who we are, but also it is also a reflection of what humans are. Okay, to show us what it is, not 100% necessarily because we're attracted. We know we attract things, but we also see all kinds of things. So not taking it personally, and that's a message I got.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I made a meme a couple days ago. It said, the thing, I forget, things, it's right in the middle of all that. And I said, this stuff's moving pretty fast. Go easy on yourself and go easy on each other, because we're all going through the same thing.
Yes. And try to, what I would suggest is, first of all, notice whenever we are being triggered. First step, just notice, I'm reacting or I'm getting triggered, and then try and take a step back, get out of the big storm, then just a little step back, and it's still happening around. But not easy, but first step, I would say, to
go into the cave. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Go into the cave.
Yeah.
Shut the door, turn off the lights. I laid in the bed for 17 straight hours.
Wow.
At the very end of it. Well, because there was too much going on here.
Mm-hmm.
There was all these loops playing, and I was, like you said, I was watching them. I wasn't engaging them. I was just watching them, and I couldn't get up and I couldn't function until they all played out. And even then, once I got going and got to work, in fact, that was the first day in a year and a half that I've canceled all shows and all meetings. So I laid in bed from whatever, like midnight till 5 the next day.
And as for me, I had like a program going on, like going back to what had happened, and then I could push it back, do something else, think about something else, and it led again to the same thought. I said, okay, that's enough. Woof, woof, woof. And I did some self-clearing there, but and then basically, if we can't go back and then clear it away, I think the best thing is to do something else.
Yeah.
Something we like. Go
Chop wood, carry water.
Concentrate. Something that needs your concentration. Do
you find that I find that I can only do one thing at a time now? And I used to be a tremendous multitasker, but now, especially with moments like you're talking about, I found that going for a walk, or putting a video together, or writing something, or something that's just very singular, chop wood, carry water, just something very singular, nothing too, that's an alternative. Like you said, that's a good alternative.
Well, actually, I'd say maybe you're getting more easily into the zone. You focus, and then everything else, you're in the zone, and that's perfect. Nothing else bothers you, no stress, whatever. And then you concentrate. This is part also about programming. I've done some self-clearing at some point about needing to plan ahead to sort of foresee anything that's going to happen. Especially women, they know about everything, and they manage everything, the whole family, this and that, It's just kind of hard to, this is programming through the ages also. Being aware of everything that's going on, and trying to protect or foresee what's going to happen, any danger. But this is different from full consciousness, where full consciousness, it's more like going into the sensing, into feeling, rather than the mental being aware of everything, different level.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It's like we're being forced to be present. Like, that's why I think the memory is going away, because we don't need it. Like, it's just like, being here with you is it. And the other thing that I got too, that came in last week, which is not anything new, but it came into my field at a higher level of awareness. And that was, this is fully quantum now. So what I think, how I translate, how I reflect what I'm observing is what I will get. That's what I will offer to the collective. That's what I will offer to my own experience. So if an energy presents itself to me, like you talked about with you or any of us, if that energy presents itself to me, if I can't do anything, go and chop wood and carry water, or go into the bedroom and turn the lights off and just be alone and let it and observe it all.
Yeah.
Because if I engage it, if I judge it, that's what's going to occur, right?
Yeah.
So I really got that in, and that's why I had already been getting to a point where I was like, oh, wait a minute, I really got to guard my thoughts, because not only are they manifesting, but the reason they're manifesting, because the reality of the quantum, what the observer, reflects is what happens. So I think we're getting to a point now where we're getting a handle on that.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, you feed it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, and no, it's about disconnecting, actually. Completely disconnecting. Things happen, go do something else. And also, like, you can visualize, like, moving out of that field, you go step away, step aside, or sometimes step aside and let it pass by sometimes, and then you come back, and then go back here, being centered and aligned, and then no judgment about the thing, and either no judgment about
people,
how we are reacting also to that situation, or should I have done this, should I have it, well, never mind, just step away and then come back.
Yeah, the self-judgment is equally, if not more important than the judging the external things, like people and events and circumstances, because we've beat the hell out of ourselves for long enough. And that's really been the root of our disempowerment, has been all the programming suggesting that we're just this little bitty being, and we're not. There's a sister has a question. Okay.
Yes.
We'll see what you want to do with it. Thank you, Anne-Marie Paul. What is the best way to support children at this time?
Love them.
Yeah.
Don't do love.
Yeah.
Easy to say, but sometimes we think, well, we should do this, we should do that, we should have a great house and all kinds of things. It's love that they need. It's compassion, and then understanding they're humans too. And then they don't think. Sometimes we think they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that, but it was just spontaneous oftentimes, Yeah. And then we shouldn't blame. In a way, we should look at them as a role model.
Yes, that's where I was going to go with it.
Yeah, not minding what's going to happen tomorrow or what happened yesterday. They're not there.
No,
they're in the now.
Yeah.
They are in the now. So in that sense, they're a beautiful role model.
It's a good thing to observe. It's a good thing to just be around that energy too, and especially with this quarantine, because they've been less affected. I have 6 kids. They're from 18 to 30, and I had 2 marriages with those, 3 and 3, and so there was a lot of different dynamics to the whole thing. People would talk about, oh, you're getting a separate, you're getting a divorce and the kids and all that. But I learned something. Kids are absolutely, totally resilient. Like in a situation like that, the last one you need to worry about are the children.
They are stronger than we think.
They
rebound
just, right. They walk outside the next day, the sun's shining, they go out and find their friends and they play. Mm-hmm. And if you don't mess with them, and if you don't come into them and say, hey, your father did this, your mother did this, or whatever the circumstances are, you don't try to condition them, and you allow them to flow freely. So like you said, they're more of a role model. They're more like they're almost like an oracle.
A 5D model.
Yeah, 5D model.
In the now.
They're more 5D for sure. Yeah. Especially
before the age of 7, 8. Before the mental really kicks in,
Yeah.
Before that, and then they when they're young, they don't have like the time concept of yesterday or tomorrow. Even when like a baby, what's tomorrow, what's yesterday, you know, they don't have that concept, you know.
Yeah.
In 2 or 3 years, and we teach them tomorrow and yesterday, and sometimes when we teach them, they at first they don't know what's that about.
And I think now that these young ones, we've had a lot of people on here in the last 2 or 3 months with these kids that are, well, everything from kids in the womb talking to their mom and some cases their dad, to you know, Z Ming Wang. You know, she's been documenting and sharing. You know, her child was communicating with her. She's very galactic, and the child came in and transitioned after 9 days, but never left her. I mean, started talking to her. The channels, she was already a clear channel. The channels opened up even more. She said, "We got work to do." What, you know, even at her ceremony where they, you know, had a ritual of you know, burying the body and having a ceremony, she could hear her daughter above her giggling and laughing, said, "What are you guys doing? Why are you so sad? You know, I mean, I'm right here. We got work to do." So there's something going on too, not just with these young children, but also like with my friend last Sunday, that I just said, "Okay, can you come see me?" And boom, he was right there. There's something about the, you know, the dimensions are bleeding into each other. Yeah.
That connectedness, even more easily attained, easy.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I've had somebody who had a similar case, and then the kid died around age 9, and then I was able to connect with it, and then the kid wanted to tell the mother that it was all planned.
Yeah.
There was a reason for it, so explain a little bit. Then something else he had to do. Basically, his contract was over. So, and then he went, had something else to do, but then the message was delivered, and that was beautiful in the end. Absolutely beautiful. And then the kid reincarnated in somebody else into the mom's life. Same soul afterwards. That's pretty interesting stuff. Yeah.
Like a walk-in. I believe that stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've run across a couple of different people that have had experiences like that. And I can't recall the specifics, but I remember one of them was the I guess the soulmate transitioned, and I think they were like 18 to 22, something like that, and then walked in to a later partner. She walked into the partner. And then another one was with an animal. I remember this one. And then I actually had an experience 4 years ago with a friend of mine whose husband had transitioned. And I met her. And when I went to the house to meet her, because I went to talk to her through another friend, see if I could, you know, work with her. They had a dog. And the husband that had transitioned jumped into the dog and started talking to me. And the dog had been having seizures because that's the husband had been trying to speak to the wife through the dog. And then he even came in. He tried to come into my head that night. Like he tried to come in. He was like, "Tell me, I want to lay with my wife." And I'm like, "Dude, that's not going to happen. That's not good for me. That's not good for you. And that's not good for her. This is not, no, we're not that far along in the, but these things are real. You know, the walk-ins, the drop-ins, what are the other ones they call the threading souls, I think is another one.
Merging.
Yeah.
Braided.
Braided. Yeah.
Yeah, braided. And I also found out, I think that was last month. I know I'm like my original soul is the one that is inhabiting this suit. Let's call it that way.
Original?
Yeah, original. Still the one, but in between I had 2 walk-ins, and that I did not know. I learned like a month ago for 2 periods of times, like a 4-year period and another 5. And those were times that were very difficult. So he sort of helped me go through that period.
I want to talk about that. First, I want to say to our beloved sister, she put up a comment, Pamela Johnson. Everybody knows her. She's been out there doing this for a long, long, long time. Well, her husband transitioned, and she was very open about it. And I think that I've seen other people do that as well. And I think when people do that, because she said in the comment that he transitioned, but that he's still with them every single day. But I think as people talk about this stuff, like Zavetta Da Vinci did, and Pamela's comments, and a few other people, it actually helps for these dimensions to bleed over into each other. I feel like that's very commendable and very helpful to everybody. So, but you're going back to the walk-ins. Now you're saying in this incarnation you had 2 walk-ins?
Yes, and those 2 were within my period where I was deeply depressed, like 14-year-long depression. And I have no recollection or whatever it happening. Even back then, I had no knowledge of what we're talking about here. Far from.
So let me ask you this. So, because Franco De Nicola comes on, and he talks about walk-ins. Other people have come in and talked about it. Morgan had a walk-in. So what month is this? About 8 months ago. Like she came, we were in Northern California, staying in a cabin by ourselves in the middle of nowhere. And she walked into the kitchen and she looked at me and she said, "Who the F are you?" Like she was that, like, what am I doing here? And who is he? And it was a weird 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, she was there, but she wasn't there. So there's where I still don't understand it. I'm trying to understand it for myself. So you have a soul. You incarnate into the world, and there's 2 times in your life where a walk-in comes in. Now, is the walk-in inhabiting the vessel with your soul, or how does that work?
There are 2 different things here. Okay. You can have more than one soul. You have the main one, and you have other souls. At some point, I think I had like 10 of them, but for different reasons. Not just sometimes people used to call that like being possessed or whatever. Okay, it's just like I said on the last show briefly, is that sometimes you got too much trauma and it's too much for the soul. So the soul either comes out or partly comes out. Okay, and then since it's partly out of the body, and then other souls can come in, there's room. Okay, that is not, that I personally I don't call that being a walk-in, because a walk-in literally takes the former soul place.
So yeah, that's what I understand. A walk-in totally replaces a drop-in, kind of shares space, or gives the soul a break for a little bit. And I look back at when I woke up, like in 2011, there was a whole bunch of traumas, and I went homeless. I told you about this, for a couple of years, and then I started doing videos about a year later. And I noticed at the time I was told, you've got different aspects jumping inside of you, but they were my aspects. They weren't like some type of invader. And then if I went back and looked at these videos, which were all impromptu, I could see the different personalities. It was kind of weird,
Sometimes that's about we call it the split personalities.
Yeah. But I wonder, are those, to me, it felt like they were aspects of me. And I agree with what you were saying, because that's what it felt like to me. Like the one I needed in that moment to jump in was because it was a very traumatic time. Like I needed as much of my team as possible, or as much of me as possible. So I don't know if that's a drop in or just a multiple personality disorder, or
sort all kinds of vocabulary, labeling for all kinds of things. Sometimes the souls that come in are helping, sometimes a little less, because they feed off of lower energies.
Yeah.
So if you're low, it comes in and it feeds off. That's just what it does. And sometimes it's like one soul is that. I read that someplace. Was an example where you've got this bus and you have 2 drivers. two bus drivers. Okay, so
Yeah.
one's at the wheel, and he has his own style, his own driving style. He's a little guy, is smooth, and then they switch over, and then the other one is reckless, and then so, but they're both within the body of the bus,
That sounds like what my experience.
Okay, and then suddenly the change happens like just like this, and then the people say, "Whoop, he just changed." There's like a split personality, and then all joyous, and then all of a sudden, they go they go crazy.
That makes sense to me.
But then when that happens also is that you need some help, you need something, or there's something lacking in you that needs to be added for you to be a little bit more balanced. And then it happened to me, talking about it, something's coming back to me. At some point I heard a walk-in was going to come into me. I was told. And then first reflex, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. And then I asked, why a walk-in? And then second question is, what is it that's inside of me that needs to have a walk-in? Or what is it that needs to be cleared, or whatever? I got the info, so I did the clearing, and then all of a sudden, walk-in no longer needed.
and then
that's impressive. So I had some kind of baggage trauma or issue. Unresolved issue. That's what I'm getting. Yeah. Related to self-loving. Okay, that's coming in now. So that's interesting.
And
getting a message here.
You are? Oh, that one from Janice.
Yeah.
Her husband's going through a walk-in right now. It's wild to be in a partnership like this. And then Pamela Johnson, she resonated with what you said. I'm going to go back to what you said and what she's citing what you said. So she said, me too, 2 walk-ins during those mental breakdown times.
Yeah.
Love that Benoit calls it original soul. It is how I feel too. That term original soul, like I was thinking about this today when I got up this morning. And I was thinking, there's a part of me, the part of me, I would call it the part of me. Like say, I don't know if it's the higher self, but it's been with me since day one. And I know it's here. I mean, like I can feel it. It's always there. But now as you're talking about, and she's talking about these times, like when I woke up, I was, for all intents and purposes, certifiable by human standards. I was nuts. I was fighting. I was raising hell. I was living very dangerously, risky, drugs, the whole 9 yards. But there was a part of me every day that, like you said, you had the one that drives the car really nice and safe. And then the other one would come in and just at the drop of a hat. And it's, me and 3 rednecks in the parking lot in the back of a club brawling. You know what I mean? So I get that. But what I'm trying to get at is what you're, I think, calling it. I think this is what you're saying, what she's talking about. What you're calling the original soul is always there. It's just above, or how does that work?
Not necessarily, because oftentimes a walk-in comes in, and then let me connect to see what I can get from this.
All right.
First word I'm getting is never ending. All kinds of walk-ins, but let's say within one incarnation, let's call it that way. The original comes in, then there's a walk-in, and then when there's a walk-in, at first, until I got that info, the way I saw it is it walks in, then the other one is gone or doing something else, not to come back. But then I guess there are no rules. You can come back, and then maybe if that was pre-programmed, pre-agreed upon before incarnation, because mostly walk-ins are pre-agreed upon, and sometimes they're not, because there's something sometimes too difficult, and the soul wants to get out, because it is experiencing too difficult of a time. But I guess there are no rules to that. It can come back, it doesn't, and then it's gone. It's like, Uh,
How does
okay,
anybody?
what I'm
really
getting
know?
is mostly temporary. That's what I'm getting now.
Yeah,
That's the
what you
answer I
think.
got. Oh, interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, what I was thinking too, what I've been getting, what I've been um, coming into more of a knowing, you know, in terms of like your whole body feels it and just know it, is like when I lay down at night and I go to connect, there is no more externalization. It's weird. It's like I feel silly, almost silly, appealing to the universe because I feel like I'm talking to myself. You know what I mean? It's like and I even hear it's
to
just all
your
it's all
soul
you.
self.
Yeah, just me, the God, you know, one, you know, whatever you want to call it, and it's like the higher self, right? We use that term a lot. I don't feel separate from it anymore. I really don't. I try to like, okay, am I missing something here? Can you talk to me? Can you show up? And it's like giggle, giggle, giggle. You are everything, right? I mean, like, and I know this is not just unique to me, but I think that's kind of how I feel like things are going down. Is that we are basically gods in the flesh, fractals of one God in the flesh, and we're doing something that's kind of like totally novel, totally new, and we've kind of got to the point where we're at the coronation, at the celebration, and I can't imagine that we've gone all these thousands of years and hundreds of incarnations to come over here and have you know, a few hundred years of nirvana in heaven on earth and then go back into the grind. I don't know, but I guess at the end of the day nobody knows any of these answers.
Hmm. And it also depends where you're coming from, whether we came here to solve something or just to experience something, which involves solving something. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that it's a bit subtle here. It's like we see it as something that needs to be fixed, or it's part of the.
Do you feel like
It's part of human being. All that's happening and all the crazy things.
Yeah.
That's part of the.
But do you feel like from a higher perspective, did we actually have to fix anything, or do you feel? Okay, so I'm going to say okay. So the way I feel about it is that nothing, there is no fate, that there is okay, that basically we come into the unknown. Let's just say, and many people have come on this show and they talked about, you know, when we got the call, we knew what we were getting into, but we didn't know what we were getting into. So in other words, in the holy darkness, in the womb is where creation is born, right? That's where the conception is had. It's not in a known quantity, it's in this unknown, this abyss, this void. The way I see it is we come into this with everything that's like, say, everything that's the Akashic. And then we have this experience and we combine those two together to create new creations in rebirth, renew, new earth, whatever you want to call it. But do you think that we're here to fix anything, or do you think we're here to expand, or just to play around, or what?
I guess it depends where
Yeah.
We put ourselves. Like any question you ask me, I could answer as a human being or as a higher soul, you know. and in a way, both are truths. Because as a human being, this is what I experience. So in a way, it's true. This is really what I'm when I think about, and then I go higher, and then I say, okay, there's a purpose for this, all what's going on, and I've experienced and everything. So and that's true too. It depends where you locate yourself. But as far as coming in, I think that the soul knows that, or it has signed some sort of a contract to evolve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Higher evolution, or it's part of. Well, whether that's a contract or not. But then you don't and then you're being sent, but you don't necessarily, you can have the main lines, you know, of what's going to happen, but not all the details.
No. If we were going to have all the details, we'd have them right now. And why would you have it? And how could you? Why would you have all the details anyway? Because then there wouldn't be anything. You wouldn't get anything out of it. But what about?
Or it's the in between. You say, okay, I want to get there, but we're not telling you what path you're going to take to get there. But and in between, all kinds of things happening. So,
what about? Okay, somebody, Steve Velarde. Thanks, Steve. He mentions benevolent and malevolent hyperdimensional entities. What are your thoughts on ET, dimensional, interstellar, all that stuff, entities in relation to us, to include people like me, people like you, and I'm sure other people who have had visitations? Okay. I see them as aspects of me. What do you see them as? Do you see them as threats? Do you see them as, you know?
Oh, first of all, I don't say it. Well, just so that we understand each other, we say benevolent and malevolent, just know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. But to me, just entities, what I use to clear them, it's just lower vibe and higher vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. And they have issues, they have traumas, they have a personality. We have a different personality. Yeah. And personality is based a lot on the traumas we have, the way we react, and then we're shy or not. And then even the galactics, I know some of the galactics, they're not perfect, each like race or whatever. And they have like, or the Orion ones, or have been in wars, so they tend to be more, in your face, and they react more. And then ultimately, this also as a soul can be dealt with and healed and whatever. Happened to me once. A soul wanted to get some part of it be healed. It wasn't a human. It was a soul galactic. I asked once one of my guardian angels or guides. I said, "Oh, good, thank you." And then he came to me, "Need any help?" And he said yes, and I was able to release something. And he went, "Hey, cool," So we're all souls, and some benevolent, malevolent. It's.
I agree. You're right. It's if you look at
it's all relative.
Yeah. If you look at upper and just levels of chakras as a metaphor, because some belong here, and if you end up in a place that's not the same vibration, there's going to be some type of reaction, right? I mean, it's just it's a metaphysical, scientific, whatever you want to call it. But like, because I remember about 3 weeks ago having a connection, having communion, and I remember being shown that even in the non-physical, there are certain places that you resonate with and certain places you don't. There's no judgment, there's no hatred, it's just, that's not my neighborhood, kind of thing.
Different vibe.
Yeah, different vibe.
And then all the souls, we tend to think as a unique frequency, but we're just a sum of all kinds of different vibrations, traumas, grief, and everything. And then the average of all our frequencies is such a frequency. Okay. Yeah. But parts of us, certain aspects are vibrating higher. Some people don't have grief within them, but they have rage, which is different. Yeah. This is why it's not just one frequency, it's different frequencies, different issues, different aspects, different traits of personality. And then the way I see it's not about being better than the other, because in some case, you could help me with something. And then in some other case, I could help you.
That's the basis of.
That's important to understand here.
Yeah, that's the basis of one of the things Morgan's downloaded, and it's been in sacred texts and been handed down through oral history, which is Helioscamos. One of the basic realities of Helioscamos is in the merging, that I'm going to merge with you. Which in a way we're doing that right now, right? Anything that I'm insufficient in, I'm lacking or weak or could use more power or strength or expansion that you have as a strength, I get from you and vice versa, you know? And if you think about the whole objective, or well, what seems to be the objective in this particular realm is to neutralize polarities, right? Like you were talking about malevolent and benevolent, upper and lower. I mean, to find that middle ground, which I think you started out the show by talking about the heart, you know.
Well, instead of neutralizing, I would say balancing.
Balancing, yeah. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah. Having a neutral charge, balancing.
Because that's what's happening now with the divine masculine energy that's coming in and being triggered, you know?
Yeah.
And then some people have too much of it and some people don't have enough of it, or it's not balanced.
Talk about that, because I've noticed that in the last few weeks, and I've been talking about this, and I hope I haven't offended anybody, but I've noticed a lot of, and I love the way you put it. You think of a wounded masculine in someone, or imbalanced masculine, whether it's a man or a woman, and you think it's immediately this aggressive, overly assertive alpha type of frequency, but it's not. You also said if there's not enough masculine, you can have projections from being triggered as well. But what I've noticed in the last few weeks, June and July, not just specific to women, but I've noticed in some women who are kind of out there, and applaud them for that, where they've had this pressure of the new divine masculine energy impressing itself upon them, as it is doing to all of us. And that's been an interesting kind of thing, but I think it's also a good sign.
There has to be some understanding. There's a difference between masculine energy and men, gender.
Yes.
Because masculine energy is like standing up, protection.
Yeah.
Okay, and then feminine energy, compassion, sharing. And this is not limited to men or women. It is in both men and women.
Yeah.
So the energies that are coming also currently, I don't want to offend any women, but some women have too much masculine in that they can be controlling.
Yeah.
And this is about masculine energy too.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that has to be also, and they've been conditioned to drive everything as a mother, and then oftentimes the man was away, and they had to drive everything. They have to come back to trying to control everything. This is often based. This is not blaming, based out of needing to please or conditioning, control out of insecurities. Trying to control, because if there's fear of what's going to happen if
no, you're describing it perfectly.
So
and even what I've noticed too, Benoit, is you said that some women have too much, right? Like they can be controlling or whatever. And again, this goes for men too. We're just making a point about the energy of the masculine energy coming into the field to be, I guess, embodied, and therefore we're having to release the distorted masculine. But anyway, but it's not just in them, but in certain situations. Like in certain situations, all of us go into an old pattern of behavior that served us, let's just say. And now we're starting to discover that those patterns worked in a less than aware environment. And now that we're getting to a higher level of conscious awareness, it doesn't fly anymore. You know, it's a different set of rules.
Yeah. And then this is why when I hear lately, well, the energies are about the men balancing the men. No, that's not about that. Well, it involves them, but it's any human.
Yeah, any human.
Any human within here. And then also it's a human. Actually, the divine feminine, what I would call energies, I would call divine feminine qualities.
Yeah.
I would say qualities.
Yeah.
Say something, standing up, protection, action. It's about action also, not being passive. It takes the qualities, and this is within both men and women. Okay, and same with the divine feminine energy. So for the divine masculine, sometimes needs to be balanced or brought down.
Yeah.
So you still stand up, but you don't need to fight. You don't need to wreck the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to get
standing up. And also, if you don't have enough of that, speaking out. It's about speaking out who you are, telling the truth. You know, it's about also raising that too much, bringing back up in the middle. That's the way I see it. And then this happens separately from the feminine energies. It's not because you bring the masculine down that the feminine rises. Feminine is sharing. If you don't fight, or sharing, or compassion, if you don't fight, it doesn't mean all of a sudden you'll have compassion. This has to be dealt with. It's not a matter of it's not a conscious thing saying somebody doesn't want to have compassion, or it's not about blaming here. It's just all our baggage, our traumas, and everything that make us be that way. Because that's what I noticed when I started. I did a whole lot of releasing and purging of traumas and everything. I noticed in a way my personality changed. Yeah. And I thought, well, what's a personality? What is a personality?
Did it change, or did it go back to the way it was when you were younger? I wonder.
Well, I think it is both, because we experience things that make us change. Yeah. Okay, but then younger, we're still born with some a lot of baggage, that we inherit, and then the soul too. So it is both, I think, and it's all a matter of everybody's involved in this currently. Then it's a matter also masculine energy about also. It's not just repressing it; it's allowing it to be too. Not repressing all the masculine, it's just allowing it to be, and too much and not enough is not good.
You can't do it without. You need both. Yeah. And one of the things that I noticed, I'm noticing at the same time that I started to notice what I would call the patriarchal impression upon both genders. Because I'd seen it in men, and I'd seen it in myself for a long, long time, and worked on it. And I made reference to the last few weeks where I noticed there was these women that were like from a masculine distortion, projecting. And again, that's a good sign to me, because it means it's coming to the surface. You become aware, then you start to work it out. But one of the things that I noticed about myself and in the field of energy, was that I was and this has probably been, let's say 3 months, going back 2 to 3 months, when I finally crossed this threshold, more on an unconscious basis, which was no longer being driven by the lower chakras, no longer being, run by the lower chakras, by the desires, by the impulses. And it was kind of a trip because when that went out the window, I didn't know what was going to come in. And what's come in is I would say a sacred sexual power that has a formidable creative aspect to it that I'm just getting used to again. And it's not only showing up in intimacy, which has nothing to do with quantity, has nothing to do with the old paradigm of intimacy, but it's also showing up in the magic of what I can, what I align with doing with my life every day. Making videos, doing lives, editing videos, building a network, things like that. And I can see the energy of that coming out of me. And it's got to work that way for everybody, I'm sure. But
it's going back to your essence and lower chakras, their energy. There blocks in their lower chakras is about fears also. All our fears are in the lower. Fear of not enough money, fear of rejection, relationship, which is the second chakra, and everything. So you clear that out. So you don't fear anymore. You're into being more than reacting. This is beautiful. And this energy, it's like, since there were blocks, the energy wasn't flowing as much as it should. Okay. You take those blocks out, and the lower relate to fears, security, relationships. So you resolve those issues, knowingly or not, and then the energy starts flowing. Some people, that energy, this has happened to me with some people, is when they, some people call it Kundalini, life force energy, sexual energy. It's all the same energy. And some people will say, well, I feel aroused, you know, and it's all the same energy. We're not used to it, you know. And then that's
I know that's been happening to me the last few weeks. I feel like I'm 17 years old again. I don't know what's going on, but if you know, but I'm not, you know, I'm not reacting the way I would have when I was 17 or even 10 years ago. I'm not looking for a place to take care of, you know what I mean? I'm not, but I'm noticing it. And I don't know, it's pretty amazing. And this has got to be happening. This has got to be happening around the world. It has to be. I was watching, have you ever heard of Robert Sepper, S-E-P-H-E-R or S-E-P-E-H-R? Atlantean Gardens on YouTube and on Facebook.
I saw the name, but I don't.
He's an anthropologist. He's probably got 200 different productions that he's done. They're fascinating. They're full of code. He's totally independent. Anyway, he did one the other day. He did one a few months ago, and the title of it was something about Adam and Eve, like the original story of Adam and Eve. Now he's an anthropologist, so everything's very factual. And so most of that production was an older gentleman giving a lecture based on factual evidence, factual being in their hands. They could see it and read it, you know, sacred text or whatever left back. And basically the gist of it was that the Adam and Eve story with the snake, with the serpent, was metaphorical, and that the short version of it, or the short explanation, would be that the orgasm was eating the apple. That, in other words, our energy was not a physical kind of thing. It was always an energetic force that was not to be, I guess, wasted or you know, lost in desires and urges. And I know that sounds kind of like there's sin and there's not sin, but it made a lot of sense to me. And then if you read some of the you know, the Far Eastern stuff, and they talk about, you know, holding on to that sexual energy, the chi, the kundalini, and all that, it kind of makes sense. And I'm kind of trying to explain that earlier. It's kind of the same thing. It's like I'm not just expending that energy through a physical orgasm. I'm actually aware of it, aware of the power that it contains and the energetic seed that it contains, right? You know, something like that.
What I've noticed as my frequency vibration rises, that the pleasure, as I erased and released and lots of it, my pleasure was becoming different when I had an orgasm.
Yeah.
Instead of being located down there, it was coming now like the whole body vibrating.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, and it's again, that energy is, you raise, and then it becomes close to the universal energy. It's the same energy, but that comes in, but that's limited, vibrate, blocks and everything. You start and release it. And then when we vibrate, we call it orgasm. It's the ultimate vibration. And then getting with this vibration closer to the universal or God-like vibration. So that's, and then we feel like more of the whole, part of the whole, because we're closer, you know. Yeah. That's the way I see it. And then we label things. Sometimes it may be the lower base root chakra that resonates. Sometimes it could be another higher chakra. But then this one, we call it more like sexually related. There are labels to that, but
Yeah.
it's just vibration.
Do you think that this that what's happening, I guess in a nutshell, in general, is inevitable? That, in other words, regardless of how much work let's say a single human being does or doesn't do, this is a collective ascension, and everybody's going to be raised and elevated and expanded, whether you go kicking and screaming or whether you get on a surfboard and ride the wave. What do you think?
Well, the thing is, the universe is always evolving. It's in constant evolution. Rising, rising, rising. And whether we like it or not, the earth is rising. So we're put into this vase where there's a high energy, okay, high vibration. And then we're here, and then we're not separate. We used to think we were separate, but this has an effect on us. So it's a bit like, it's physical. If you have a certain frequency when you do physics, and you have another frequency, they will tend either to match, or the lower one will tend to raise and match the other one. So by simple physics, we don't have much of a choice. We'll raise our whole body, or vibration will tend to. Well, this sounds techie or nerdy, but
no, but it was
so just being in the presence of someone, and then this goes also to saying that we are healing people without knowing, because if your vibe is high and the other one is lower, then without knowing, we call it healing, but it's just releasing or raising the other's vibration unknowingly,
like a tuning fork.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
So either you go with it, or you don't do anything, and then you're being forced. There comes a time when it's the pressure, the vibe is a little too much, and then we blow up. This is part of what's happening here.
Yeah. Can you stay on longer? Because we already went over.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. And now, what about this? All this stuff, and I'm not caught up in the story at all. I observe the global stage as I observe everything else, and I'm probably triggered proportionate to the level I am on a personal experience. And we talked about that a minute ago. Lock myself in a room, whatever. But I watch it to see, as within, without, what is the level of disclosure or stuff coming up, because that tells me where we're at collectively, within ourselves on average. We're all dealing with stuff, and have been dealing with stuff the last few years, and it's really accelerated this year. And I think we're doing a great job with it. But if I look at the stuff that's going on out there, I can't come away with anything other than it's just a script. It's just a narrative. None of it's to be trusted. There is no savior out there. To me, it just seems like kind of like once a liar, always a liar. And I don't know. I'm watching it, kind of in fascination, but I'm certainly not being triggered or charged by it anymore, where I was in the past.
I think we have all our own reality.
Everybody's is separate.
Yeah, and then the way within your belief system, the way within you believe, oftentimes we're looking for clues that will go with our beliefs. There's all kinds of things happening. Well, this is happening because something else behind is happening, or you've got Trump or not Trump, and then within your belief system, well, he's a bad guy, he's a good guy, or whatever. In a way, and then we're all on the same planet, different point of view, and then in a way, it's all there. I think there are as many truths as there are people.
7.7 holograms. 7.7 billion people. All right. Is there a collective hologram, or are there 7.7 billion different holograms? What do you think?
Well, also we think of holograms as being separate, but we're we're always not interfacing, but interacting energetically, and even like thought forms, or egregores. So those are thought forms that are common sometimes to certain regions, certain countries.
Yeah.
So they're separate and then common aspects. And
there we go again with the neighborhood.
Right? And then some common to the Earth, continents, or certain aspects related to people, your origins or whatever, different beliefs. And then it's all meshed and intertwined, and then spaghetti thing here.
What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen the rest of the year? Things have moved fast this year. And now you've got this second wave of quarantine, which to me just, and I'm not caught up in the story at all. I'm just saying, I actually believe it's an incredible design and orchestration by all of us, because even though it looks the way it looks, it's actually serving us in terms of our own personal self-expansion.
One of the ways I see it, but nowadays I tend to not limit myself to what I think or believe. That's kind of funny to say, but it's like if you've read about the Gesara thing, okay?
Yes,
like the universal income, everything is fair. Okay.
Yeah. Universal pipe train.
And then the way to get there, they won't come here. Okay, we're gonna do this and gonna do that, and then the universal. And now through some other way through the pandemic, maybe it's not getting to universal, but it is mimicking.
Yeah.
The target of maybe a whole group of person believe there is going to be a universal thing, and then they've started handing out packages. So in a way, it's a universal
I don't know.
income. So will it stay? Will it not stay? It's just that it mirrors a bit what it's becoming. How it's going to get there. What I marvel at sometimes is we're told this is going to happen, and it's not happening through the means we think it's going to happen.
I agree with that.
And then I find this in a way entertaining, interesting. And then something really hard happens, and then whoop, poof.
I just find it interesting that there's so many different agendas globally. Like there's it's almost like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't care what people say about Q or Trump or anyone else. I don't see anybody in control, because my thing is this: when somebody that has the recognition in the world or even in a region, you can't tell me that there's not somebody like you or somebody like me or somebody like these 80 people that are here watching that wouldn't have the balls to get up in front of a microphone and say, hey, you know what? I am soul. I am an eternal soul. And let me tell you what I know about this bullshit that's going on. Let me tell you what's true. Let me tell you what's propaganda, at the possible risk of my own death, because I'm not afraid, because I'm a soul. Like no one's ever done that. And you see these stories being drug on and drug on and drug on, and it's just like a carrot on a stick. And it's just a means to me of manipulation and control. And I just keep thinking, well, this whole thing's been designed by us giving our power away. So why would the design all of a sudden just stop inducing us into giving our power away? It's still serving the same purpose, and that purpose is to continue to keep us unconscious until we become conscious, which is, I guess, what's happening. And how do we expand on that?
This is slowly happening, but it's the programming, and the thing is the programming is put into our heads when the second we are born, and then until 7 or 8, we don't even have the mind or mental ability to tell what's wrong from right, or that's the way the human body is done. It's up until 7 or 8, and we're picking up everything, all the info, whether it's true or not. Subconscious is picking it up. So you'll tell somebody, well, what we get up at 3 in the afternoon and we go to bed here. So when you were born in that state, within those rules, it is normalcy to you, you know, and then you don't try. Like you've done it all your life, you don't even question it. Some people do question, but and then we're so busy. We're caught in a loop, you know. Earning money, having a family, and everything. We're so busy, we don't have time to pause, to stop, and then think. Some have done it, you know, through hard times. That forces us to rethink.
I wonder if
and then the creation, what we think, and it is creating. There, as you said, 7.7 billion co-creators. Too many cooks. There are 7.7 billion cooks. Yeah. And then it's the sum. Then some are pulling in a direction, others in the other directions. And it's not just a tug of war. It's people pulling from all directions. And then it's the sum of that, or in certain areas a little bit more of that, and it's 3D also, you know. Just wow. And I don't have all the answers either. So
I wonder if like you're talking about the cycle, like for instance the cycle of sleep, okay, which, like the way you explained it, I mean, why wouldn't that be a program like everything else? Like, what was that not done or inputted by design to put us into a pattern of behavior, of normalcy? So let me give you an example. So I was thinking about this last night. So I broadcast till a little after 3 in the morning over here. We just did an impromptu thing, and it just kept going and going. So when I got off, I'd been on all day. I went and poured myself a glass of water, and I just chilled out a little bit. And Morgan went to bed, but I didn't want to be too long because I wanted to see if we could connect, right? So when I got up into the bed, she was half asleep. All right. So I lay down next to her, and my mind, not my mind as the human loops, but my third eye mind, my connectivity was like wide open. And I was like going, wow, you know. And then the human came in and said, hey, you better go to sleep. You got to do 4 shows tomorrow. And I thought, wait a minute. Why? Why do I have to do that? Well, and the human said, well, because if you don't, you're not going to have enough rest. And I said, well, wait a minute. I'm not just human, you know. So I'm having this conversation, this dialogue about the validity of whether or not I could alchemize, transform, rejuvenate, regenerate in outside of the confines of the quote unquote normalcy, normal patterns that have been inputted or imprinted into my being. So I'm wondering, as you're talking about this, as a lot of people have talked about this year, that the linear is going away. Like they're becoming more better manifestors as they eliminate the pressure of linear time. Like I got to do it by this day, or, you know, that type of thing. So I'm wondering if this stuff has fallen away naturally too.
Well, that happened to me doing the clearing. At some point I got more energy, needed less sleep. Yeah. And also not just because I had more energy, but I was more and more connected into the universal energy, the prana, whatever, chi, ki, whatever you call it. So there comes a time also where there's this belief that, okay, I feel tired. Sometimes it's not about being tired. Sometimes we pick up lower vibes and we feel heavier. I'll call it this heavier, okay? Mm-hmm. And then nowadays what you can do is you go into breathing techniques and everything, you know, the breatharians. So you start breathing and you pick up energy, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm not tired anymore. And then I thought, first of all, was I tired or not?
Yeah.
Was I really tired? Because now I'm not tired. And was it really sleep I needed? Because now I'm okay. So I did the breathing technique, and then I'm all good, and then spent the whole night up. And then, you know, the brain, the conditioning says, well, you should go to bed. Mm-hmm. Well, really? No. I can go to bed in the afternoon. in broad daylight, whatever. And then whenever your body really needs it, you know, so there's this whole paradigm here that, or I need food.
Yeah.
Same thing. Or I need sleep. Really? There's different ways to get the energy, to get back up. That's a whole, that's interesting.
Something's shifting there, though, you know, with the, what we're hearing from the body. Like the thing about the sleep last night, what you're just talking about right now, you know, something's changing. And like another example for me, I'm not a vegetarian. I don't really eat pork. And I never have been a big red meat eater because my dad used to feed it to us like 6 nights a week, right? And so, but what's happened to me, so I would eat chicken and I love seafood. But what's happened to me in the last week, and I'm really tripping out about it. Now I'm eating fresh vegetables and I'm eating soups and, you know, and I do eat eggs. I love eggs. But, and this happened to me last night. I went, you know, I thought I went to go rinse the car off at the car wash. And I'm like, I want to eat some beef. I need to, now it wasn't the word beef. It was saying you need protein. We go find some protein. And I'm thinking, okay, what's protein? Like eggs, nuts, you know, and like, and all I could picture was like a steak. Like my body telling me you need to eat this. Now I haven't done it, but if it keeps happening, I'm going to go do it. Now things have been happening like this. Like my body telling me, don't drink that coffee, go drink some tea, or go get yourself some water. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's coming into the field, such as the higher self voices or multiple dimensional aspect voices, or even other essences that are connected to us have spoken to us. To me, it's like the body's doing that. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. And sometimes we have to learn to discern from what we think we should have and what the body really needs. That is not easy because there's conditioning and there's also a addiction to food or sugar or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, this is different, but I do believe that sometimes your body needs some things. Sometimes out of the blue, something pops up. I feel like eating whatever, you know. And then I think this is. We should go with the body, and also like a single rule for everybody: don't eat that and don't eat this. No. I don't believe in that.
No.
We're all different. Yeah, and then overall, you should say, okay, as less as meat as possible. But there comes a time. It happened to me once where I was really driven, and I was told to eat some meat, and then it wasn't for the protein. It was to get to eat something I really used to love to eat.
Okay.
And just by having it, I remember it had been a long time. It was like having an orgasm. It was so tasty. And then that's the info I got. It raised my vibration so much. And the ultimate goal, whatever we talk about, is raising our vibration, is being right up there. That's the whole thing. Never mind the words, what is what, vitamins or meat or whatever. Meat, it's not the animal. Yes, animals, souls, and okay, but still it's lower vibe. So you put that in your body and it brings it down. It's just, and you don't.
Unless there's something else going on. Because, you know, I remember 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was walking through a parking lot in Houston, Texas. I was staying in a hotel, and there was I think it was a Thai restaurant. There was a little Thai restaurant, and I distinctly heard, "Go eat there," right? So, as I'm walking towards it, all I can think of is beef, and I don't eat beef. So I go and sit down, and there's nobody in there. It's the middle of the afternoon, and I look at the menu, and I don't even know why. Okay, I did this, but it was instinctive. It was intuitive. It was like I could smell it, you know? So I pointed to this item on the menu, which I don't even know what the hell it was, okay? And they brought it out, and it was this big bowl. And I had this, anyway, I ate it. And after I ate it, the man, it was a mom and pop business, a family business. The man came out, this older man. He said, "Did you eat that?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Have you eaten it before?" I said, "No." he said, well, do you know what it is? I said, no. And he said, well, it's a Thai delicacy or whatever it was, Vietnamese delicacy or whatever. And it was basically raw. It was blood. There was blood and he said a lot of people wouldn't eat it, but there was something that was, and I knew it after he told me, even though it made me a little sick when he told me. I knew there was something that I knew I had to ingest that. Like there was something going on with my body. There's something that had to happen. I don't know what it was for, you know. So sometimes things like that happen.
Well, sometimes you can get some info asking you to go to a restaurant. It doesn't have to do with eating.
Yeah.
You go in there and you had to meet someone or cleanse the place.
True. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting to. I'm getting a little bit of that from your experience here. Yeah. It had to do with the people. That's what I'm getting. You see? And then we think...
no wonder. I didn't have to eat it. I knew I didn't have to eat it. I shouldn't have had to eat it. It's very disgusting.
And meeting coming across or whatever. So
did you want to do a
little something here, balancing? Yeah. Let's see. Let me connect a bit. Yeah, anchoring the heart was beautiful. Just having a conversation, exchanging things happen, activations, heart activations, fun times, interesting getting into the zone. That's what I'm getting. It's not, things are always happening, you know. Positive, well, not interference, but okay, releasing soul aspects related to negative thinking, people on Earth. Okay, yeah, okay. Earth is not all bad. Interesting. Releasing, good. Things happening. Not trying to question everything. Okay, that's what I'm getting here. Release, a little bit of release here. Release, some body light language going on here. Anchoring of the heart, mental aspects. Galactics, what are they telling me here? Keep going, Benoit. No need to tell. Okay. Beautiful energy, acceptance, self-loving acceptance, people, universe, dogs, streets, buildings, acceptance. Interesting. Strong survival, surviving. No worries. Beautiful, positive energy. Staying within. Yeah, staying within, walking away. Energies, negativity, lower vibes. Just step back. All good. It is what it is. Step back. Stepping back. Going within heart. Feeling the heart. Mind. Never mind the mind. Mind. Spinning. Never mind the mind. Cool. I'm still alive. I'm here. Touching myself. I'm here. Cool. All good. We're still breathing. Masks. No. Don't worry. Masks. Whatever. Mask. Release. Excuses. Distractions. Distracting us. No need. No. Go back to chanting, playing as a kid. Yeah. Beautiful energy. Okay. Hopping. Sidewalk. Sure. All good. Release. Man cave. Beautiful. Man cave. Yeah. Our own home. Going back home. Galactic home through the heart too. Feeling sick, missing home. Homesick. Being homesick happens through the heart being blocked, disconnected from the soul. This is something I wanted to touch upon here. Feeling estranged, away from the soul. New contracts, people, new contracts. Beautiful energy, beautiful coming in. good times, good times, good times, beautiful, no worries, beautiful happening, beautiful happening, new vibes. No worries, no worries, no worries, beautiful, keep connected, the soul, the heart, releasing heart, heaviness of the heart, a little of some release here, speaking out, no need to yell, just if you need to say it out loud to yourself. Just okay. No worries. All good. All good. All good. No worries. Thank you, Arcturians. Arcturians, Arcturians coming in, a little help. Divine love, filling the heart with love. Your own beautiful love. Self-sufficient. We're self-sufficient. Energetically, no sleep, self-sufficient. Interesting. Interesting. Self-sufficient. Universal. You're part of the universe. Tap into it. Tapping into the power. The power. Universal power. Free. Free, free, free. Freedom. Speech freedom. Releasing egregores. Okay. Galactic energy. Kept from speaking. Coming out. Coming out. Coming out. Expressing self-expressing block. Fear of knowledge, knowing, knowledge, beautiful knowledge, but not needed to be alive. Knowing, trying to know, to secure ourselves, to make us safe. Not necessarily needed. Nothing, overthinking, no, too much overthinking. Oof, release. Speaking out, beautiful energy, balancing the heart, joy, play. The sand, water, as kids, sandbox, rope, skipping rope, beautiful. Basics, kids, yes, kids. Teaching, yeah, teachers came here to teach the kids, yes. Kids came here to teach. Beautiful. Swallowing of pride too, as parents. Not wanting to be wrong as parents. Oh, interesting, yeah. Release, equals. Beautiful energy, high vibe, gifted kids nowadays, children, beautiful. Ironic, beautiful, here to teach. Yeah, here to teach us, to show us the way, how to do things. Beautiful, not forced. No. They do the jobs they want to do. Yeah, going with the heart. They go with the heart. Different paradigm, yes, different. Yes. We're told had to work hard, but have fun. And then work gets done as pleasure. Yeah, pleasure. Too much pressure. Release, too much pressure. Society pressure, peer pressure. Release people, society, global government, health organization, pressure. Don't do this, you're gonna do. Merci, thank you. Yeah, now go have some fun.
That must have pulled a lot of energy out of you.
It's
no,
not anymore. Oftentimes I come out energized when I do this. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I love that what you said about homesick. Homesick comes from the heart being disconnected from the soul.
Yeah, a lot of
so it's even
light workers, star seeds, they feel homesick. And then when we're homesick, it's when we're away, when we're disconnected, we're cut from the people or the home and everybody. So nowadays with the videos and audio, it's less of a factor, but it's still being cut.
Yeah.
So it's a parallel here. We're being cut from our own soul, and the soul, which is the universe. So we're disconnected. We feel disconnected. Feeling disconnected is feeling sick from the whole, from our home, which is a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And then you said that there's new contracts, new vibes, new births. You know, that fits like reconnecting the heart and the soul at from a higher level of awareness is different than the connection that we had, because maybe the connection we had of the heart and soul got us to a certain point, and then as we expanded, there was an opportunity to expand that connection. That's kind of what I felt. But one of the things that came through too when you were
just before you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's all as I said earlier. It's about also reconnecting the body to the heart and soul.
Body.
Because there was a heart and soul, but the body was still disconnected.
Yeah. And the body is.
And then this other, there are two halves, sort of, not two halves, but two different separate connections. And that one had to be reestablished.
Well, it makes sense that the body, because to me now, what's come in the last 2 or 3 months is the body is no different than any other aspect of us. It just happens to have this physicality. It's still the same thing. And we've left it out because we thought, you know, oh, this is just a vessel that we've jumped into, but there is no, it's all the same God substance. Everything is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's part of us. But the other thing you said too, that came out for me, two things. One, you know, anytime, if we look back before we woke up, when we were in religion, let's just say, how many times did we receive answered prayers? I'm going to say, really, if we think about it, every time. When we have an emotion, when we were kids and we prayed and appealed, you know, when everything aligned, we always got what we wanted. And sometimes, you know, that old saying, you got to be careful what you ask for. But what I'm getting at, I think one of the things that we're overlooking, it's, you know, we're going through this transformation, we're elevating and expanding. But one of the things that I feel like, at least for myself, that I've been applying myself more, and it's working, and that is to engage the universal energy and say, you know what, for the highest and best good for all, from my aligned heart, from what I love doing, here's what I would like to do. Will you collaborate with me in love for my brothers and sisters and for the universe? This is what I feel like I need. This, and I say now, this or something better. And then sure enough, things start falling into place. And I think, well, to me, that's something that is being overlooked by me, and I want to, and I'm asserting myself to make a more concerted effort to consistently engage the universe in manifestation. I guess that's what I'm saying.
And what you ask for is in everybody's best interest. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win situation. Well, you said about prayer, or prayer is about manifestation. Yeah. Some people call it prayer or visualizing or meditating. To me, it's all the same. Yeah. Yeah. Different words, words. And then just like you said, so actually, and we tend to think it is something we need to learn. Yeah. But as you said, it is something we already have as kids and everything. It's just finding out, and it goes back to finding out who we really are, how powerful we are. It's not about being able, it's just unlocking or unblocking ultimately, or becoming aware of what we can do and how powerful we are. Yeah. Coming back into remembrance of that. And I guess that's what I'm getting at. I'm like going, okay, we worked really hard. We didn't have a home. We didn't have any money.
I mean, nothing. And then all of a sudden, we end up in a place that's very affordable, that has plenty of room, and everything starts falling into place. And I thought, this is an energy that I'm seeing not just in my own life, but I'm seeing it with other people. It's almost like all the work that we've done is being reciprocated now, and what we're doing in the present's being reciprocated almost immediately. But of course, the equation is highest and best good for all. Serving yourself in the sense as you would serve the universe, right? Like I had a communion about 2 nights ago, and it was a triangle, and Morgan was on one side, I was on the other, and then the universe was at the peak of the triangle. And the universe said to me, how much do you love her? And I said, I love her as I love myself. That's the truth. And it said, how much do you love yourself? And I said, I love myself. I mean, I really love myself, not like just words, like human words. And it said, how much do you love yourself? Do you love yourself as much as you love the universe? And I said, for the first time in my life, I don't know if the question had ever been posed. And I said, yes. And it said, treat yourself as you would treat the universe. Honor yourself, revere, love, respect yourself as you do the universe, as you do her. And what'll happen is you can get to that point of this balanced triad with any person or any other energy. You know what I mean? So it was a really powerful.
It's beautiful. Kind of yeah, powerful and beautiful. Yeah, beautiful lesson too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really interesting. So, oh my God, the other thing that you said too made me laugh, and it really doesn't, because what you said about these kids is absolutely true. You know, my youngest is 18 years old. She's been living with a guardian for 2.5 years. She just got out of high school, 2.5, 3 years. I allowed her to make her own decision. I supported it because I said, if it doesn't go right for you, it doesn't matter if it's your fault, someone else's fault, nobody's fault. You're going to have to come live in live out of a suitcase with me, traveling around the country to where I don't know where, and you're going to be homeschooled. Anyway, she made it work. But when she was a kid, she used to tell me all the time, in a funny way, but she meant it. And she'd say, I do what I want. And she didn't mean it like in an insolent way. She meant it as in, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do what I love. I'm going to do what makes me feel good, because I see no reason why it is unfair. She even told me those words. It's unfair for me not to pursue that. And I think that's indicative of the energy that you're talking about with these young people that are, what did you call them?
Teachers.
Role models.
Role models. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Role models.
And they come up with words or thinking that we sometimes would think only adults would be able to do. And they were really impressing. And then, we were taught that doing what we want to do, we were taught to listen to authority, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then to us, first or reaction is thinking, this is being egoistic, just to say that I'm going to do what I want to do. But and this is what not long ago I would have still believed. But now it's all about being doing whatever we do. It's just being in a good vibe.
Yeah, that's right.
Being in a good vibe. Also with your daughter, whatever she does or who she is with, she is at peace.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. I think nowadays, instead of thinking, this school they do this and they do that, or they're better, or there's discipline, or even if there's discipline, but she doesn't want to be there, she's still doing being a bad vibe.
Yeah, she's actually going through that. She called me up. She said, here's the situation. And I said, it doesn't look like the situation's going to change. It's, you're 18. We had a conversation. I didn't tell her what to do. I just kind of said, here's what it looks like to me. And the next day she calls me up, says, me and my friend, we're going to get an apartment. I'm going to go to school here locally. and I'm going to get a car. Yeah, I got to get my license first. So I said, okay. I said, you know what? Maybe, I don't know. I can't make any promises, but I'll do whatever I can to help you if I can. And with this car thing. So the next day, she sends me these pictures of these two cars, and they're both like classics, right? They're both like 25, 30-year-old, totally redone. And they're like $25,000, $30,000. I said, no, you got it. You're out of your mind. But back to what we were talking about, I do what I want. She doesn't see any reason that she can't pursue that. And there's an old saying, if you strive for perfection, even if you fall short, you're going to do pretty good. And I think we've all experienced that, you know, where we've worked for something, didn't quite get what we thought we wanted or thought what we were shooting for, but it ended up having an energetic impact that brought us some level of at least, you know, in the moment, satisfactory abundance and even surprising abundance. Yeah. So
what I might add is that she's also on her own path. Sometimes as parents, we'd like to save them from facing difficult things or issues, but it is through that you learn, or through choice. It is through choice that okay, you do this, you decide to do this and that, and you see what happened, and then you learn. That's the way it is. Freedom of choice. And we know some later on we said, well, if we didn't go for some opportunity, and then sometimes we end up regretting. So that's just try, and then it's not a matter of being right or wrong. I made a wrong decision. Well, I went there. I know it's not that, and then just
how are you going to find out if you don't?
That's
I'd rather jump through that ring of fire and get my ass burned than stand on the other side of it wondering what would have happened if I'd have done it.
And you know, sometimes, which makes me think of something else here, we'd like to maybe have either some money or some spare time to do something. And then once you get the money, and then sometimes you don't feel like doing it anymore, but then you have the freedom of saying, well, I could go or I could not go. But just having the choice is satisfying, is nourishing instead of going, instead of being forced not to go. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you decide, well, I'm not going. Well, go. No, I don't need it anymore. I just, I know I can do it. And this is freeing, I would say. It's about freedom, and it's freeing. Freedom of choice, not being forced. Oh, anyways.
Well, we all had a free choice to come down here, and I think we're going to start reaping the rewards we already are. We got to do this again soon, if you want to.
Yes, absolutely.
Stick around after we'll sign off in a second, and just stay on Zoom. And I got the calendar here, and we'll set it up as we talked about.
All good. Thanks everyone from wherever you are, whatever realm, up there, down there, also below, whatever. Now, whatever doesn't matter, but it's all beautiful wherever you're from. And then thanks for attending, sending love, God living, releasing a heart, beautiful. Stay connected with your heart. Step away from the drama. Step away. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you all. Thank you, Todd. Yeah, talk to you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We got 2 more shows. We had 1 cancellation. So we'll be back in 1 hour and 10 minutes. Is that right? No, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Okay. And then 2 hours after that. See y'all later. Hang on, Benoit.
Love and light. Yes.
Right.